According to Iran's state-backed news outlet Fars, earlier, Iran fired a number of missiles from its southern regions at targets in the Strait of Hormuz locality. Citing Iranian sources, right? It says some of the targets may have been American vessels. It's not clear if they mean warships or commercial vessels. This comes amidst renewed reports of possible clashes, likely reciprocal in nature, as that's how fighting works, yes, yet again between the U.S. and Iran as a nominal ceasefire holds. Now, again, an hour ago, the Iranian Navy reportedly fired warning shots at 4 vessels earlier that attempted to cross the strait, according to, again, an Iranian news outlet. Right? There's also an hour ago been reports of explosions and possible missile launches toward the Strait of Hormuz from the Bushehr province of southern Iran. Right? And then 31 minutes ago, the U.S. Navy dropped a bunch of footage of our aircraft carriers conducting some type of combat operation in the Arabian Sea. It's not clear what. Okay, according to Iran's state-run Tasnim news agency, it says a hostile aircraft was destroyed and intercepted over Bushehr, claims that it was an American MQ-9 Reaper drone. Now, Reapers are interesting because they are not reconnaissance drones. They are strike drones. We have a Reaper that is for reconnaissance or ISR only is a Shadow. It's a different make of drone. Right? It says the event that took place tonight was the destruction of a hostile aircraft. The country is in a normal state. So again, I see these reports and I think to myself, this is not really compatible with a deal that is about to be signed. And again, Axios saying for the 15th time, a tentative agreement has been reached in the Iran negotiations, but is pending President Trump's approval, which of course is continually, it requires Israeli approval. But there's a problem. That problem is that Israel says there's a ceasefire, but literally in the course of that ceasefire, 21 IDF soldiers and an unknown number of Hezbollah fighters have been killed in fighting. Guys, if you have 21 soldiers killed in 2 weeks, you're in a state of war, okay? Like if you look at the Operation Iraqi Freedom casualty totals, you can pretty clearly see that like 21 people killed, that is more people were killed in May, in June, almost July of 2003. But you guys can see here that even at the height of the war, total hostile deaths, right? I mean, if you're losing 21 people in the course of 3 weeks, you're on pace to outstrip even the worst of the Iraq war. So, I don't know. That's like saying the Iraq war wasn't actually a war, it was just a ceasefire. So, but I think there's also, again, as we've talked about in other videos, this really bizarre disconnect. The more they hype this done deal, this totally finished deal, this good to go deal, you can see the oil price keeps dropping. And they love that shit. We know that they're using it as basically a proxy for this sort of thing. So I think they're hyping up these lies. But here's the problem, is that you can lie to the market for a while, just like Trump can juice the market for some of these stocks by statements. He can juice them a little bit, but like as discussed, you know, he can't really, he can't juice them in a sustained way. Here's, for example, Thermo Fisher's 1-year chart, right? You can see maybe Trump's kissing Thermo Fisher's ass really helped, but I point out that basically at 442 is what it's been recently trading at. You can see that a year ago, it was basically still there. It was actually higher for a lot of a year ago, right? And so, again, here it is, 434. So, and here's the 5-year chart for Thermo Fisher. It hasn't gone anywhere. In fact, if you bought in 2021, you basically have lost like a lot of money. And if there's a takeaway from this, I mean, yeah, look at this. Look at this. They basically, Thermo Fisher Scientific peaked in 2021 during COVID, and then nothing for years. And like, that's because you can do shit like this. Like, you can make a statement or you can tweet something and people will adjust their forecasts or their models like a little bit. But eventually it comes back down to earth. If something is overpriced relative to its actual likelihood, the market's going to correct. That's the Warren Buffett strategy, right? Warren Buffett always says the market in the short term is a popularity contest, and in the long term, it's a scale. It's a weighing machine. It gives you objective reality. Like, at some point, well-run businesses will rise and poorly run businesses will fall. So I think that's what we're seeing here. We're seeing, again, Trump try to play these games, the administration really play these games to try to juice the market this way and that. And it's a strategy, but it's not a great one. No. So, yeah, I'm just so not optimistic that, like, again, you can see here, U.S. and Iran reached a tentative deal to extend the ceasefire, which is the current state. So just extend for 60 days. And it hasn't been approved by Donald Trump or the leadership in Iran, but we've totally reached a deal. Okay, guys. Now, reportedly, Washington will lift its blockade of Iranian ports and U.S. forces will withdraw from the vicinity of Iran. And that's just to start negotiations. The White House called the MOU draft a complete fabrication. So that's something. So again, what we're seeing here is basically, I think, an extreme amount of evidence that this is a total fucking lie. Like, so let's see. Here's the Iranian Fars news agency, which I don't like have a high, they're Iranians, but they'll at least give us their insight into what the Iranians are thinking. Google, please translate. Beep, boop, beep. I'm trying to see. Oh, it doesn't actually even want to translate it. Maybe it has something to do with... All right, let's see. They almost certainly have an English language site. Oh, no. Do I want to install the app? No, fuck no. Yeah, IRGC, American airbase hit in response to U.S. hostile action. IRGC, no peace in West Asia without elimination of Israel. This is why people are like, do you love Iran? I'm like, no, dude. Every complaint I mean, the difference is that Iran is one of the most heavily sanctioned countries on earth because it wants to annihilate one of its neighbors. But Israel wants to annihilate Iran, and we literally kiss their ass and send them our tax dollars. Iran not to allow U.S. to undermine sovereignty in Strait of Hormuz. IRGC Navy, which doesn't exist. 26 ships transit Strait of Hormuz under Iran's protection. Iran expresses solidarity with Oman, a country they literally just fired a bunch of missiles at, after Trump's threats over Strait of Hormuz. Brilliant stuff, guys. Truly brilliant. Like, this is pure propaganda, but I think the takeaway here is that this propaganda is repeating a message that they are not preparing for peace. Because remember, a theocracy like this relied on America as a great evil, as a terrible evil that has to be countered at every stop. And what we're seeing is that that is simply not the case. That the Iranians, if you wanted peace, you would have to prepare your public for a peace scenario, as we talked about with Putin, where he stops referring to Zelensky as a Nazi. He starts to reframe the war as being a defensive war of survival for Russia against the combined forces of NATO, right? He changes reality in order to spin whatever peace deal they come to as being a victory to the public. And Iran is not doing any of those things. They are not moving their public into a direction of, oh, well, there's a peace deal to be had. We're here to reach an agreement with the Americans. We have no fight with the Americans, right? Or we've defeated the Americans. That's the kind of thing that the Iranian news agency should be pushing to their public. Oh, New York Times, U.S. developing workarounds to funnel money to Iran without direct payments. Which is funny because that's already how it is. They're seized assets, something that Trump has already said he would totally never do. Yeah, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, check out another video here, and of course, become a member at combatvetnews.com for access to an entire archive of premium videos, including combat footage that YouTube would never let me show you. The link is in the description. And of course, a huge thanks to all of the Combat Vet News members.